blasted with Imogen's crazy psychic powers. The first is that Ashton is actually a consecuted soul of the Luxem. This woman was the woman that FCG
was targeted to murder and kill with his assassin bot programming.
Yeah, there's no way. This is totally his target, whoever this older woman was. How's it going, guys? Welcome back to Fraud on the Telly. In today's video, we're going over some more Critical Role theories after the crazy episode that was episode 34. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you bonus action, stunning strike that like button, follow up with a flurry of blows to the subscribe button, and ring that tiny bell so you never miss a video. Okay, so most people remember last episode of Critical Role for, well, Laudna's death. There was actually a whole bunch of other stuff that happened in this episode that is almost just as interesting for the future of our party and our campaign. I'm talking about the opening scene and all those crazy memories that our characters suddenly were blasted with Imogen's crazy psychic powers. Already the community has been working quick to come up with what they believe are answers to a lot of these questions, some of them being really interesting. So let's start with Ashton, shall we? Ashton's flashbacks and memories were very interesting because, as we know, what we've been told about Ashton's backstory was that he was an orphan who grew up in House Greymore for children in Bassaras. You see, in his flashback, in his memory, it contradicts some of the stuff that we seem to know already about Ashton. Ashton in this flashback sees his parents, his father specifically, he sees as a half-elf wearing some strange robes and masks, seeming to be in some kind of strange ritual, I guess, that's going on. There are a bunch of people around them preparing for some kind of ritual, when his mother looks to him saying it has begun, and suddenly just a flash of energy, bodies being thrown all around him is all Ashton remembers. Ashton later comes to realize that the mask that he stole from the strange museum earlier on in the campaign, that feels like so long ago, wasn't it, was the same mask that he saw his father wearing, this strange kind of ceremonial mask. Through some clutch rolls, we find out that this mask was an old druidic mask of a tribe called the Hishari, not the Ashari, the Hishari. We learn that the Hishari are a group of ancient druids that have befallen some kind of strange mystery. In druidic circles, in the Ishari, they refer to the Hishari as a warning to not meddle with certain things in nature. Now, this is interesting because we know that the Gaudrashari, the druids who would later become the Ashari in modern day Exandria, were Earth Genasi in EXU Calamity. Now, this seems to be some kind of offshoot of the Gaudrashari, possibly in the same time of the Calamity. There's two popular theories that I've seen floating around right now. The first is that Ashton is actually a consecuted soul of the Luxem, and he is having a flashback to his former life in memory at the moment. Now, what the heck is a consecuted soul of the Luxem, you might be saying to yourself? The Luxem is this strange, elemental, yet divine-esque energy that many believe was kind of the original god in Exandria. It's like an energy or essence or possibly some kind of a creature that has predated much of the other gods of Exandria. It's also worshipped by a group of drow called the Kryn, who discovered the Luxem in the Calamity when they were sent to the Underdark, and once they emerged after the Calamity from the Underdark, they had the Luxem in these beacons. But see, here's the thing that's interesting about the Luxem. One can become consecuted, attaching your soul to the Luxem beacon. You basically can live forever with this. Your soul, instead of transferring on to the afterlife when you die, if you're close enough to the Luxem, will bind to a newborn infant within 100 miles of the beacon. So many believe that what we're seeing here in this flashback from Ashton is possibly way back in the Calamity. Who knows when it is? Something that happened a long time ago to the Hishari tribe that basically wiped them out, we're imagining. But Ashton at this time was a consecuted soul, so he's basically having a flashback memory of a former life, as the theory goes. The only things that really kind of add credence to the theory is the fact that this memory seems, one, extremely old and possibly not even Ashton's in a way. His father is an elf, which could potentially link him to the Kryn dynasty, or members who usually worship the Luxem, as they are dark elves, drow, or sometimes normal elves. And we know that Ashton has a strange, intimate relationship with dunamantic magic and dunamantic goop, as it saved his life, but that also is interesting because of how it links to the Luxem Beacon. The other theory that I see banded around is nothing to do with consecrated souls or anything like that, but that whatever power Ashton's father and his people were messing around with, performing these rituals with, is what eventually turned Ashton and presumably the rest of their people into air genasi, combining them with elemental power. We know through Orem's roles in the game that the Hishari are looked back in history from the Ashari as druids who they can learn from, druids who made some sort of grave mistake. Now, personally, I'm leaning a little more towards the second theory, even though I would love for Ashton to be a consecrated soul and for this to link in with Luxem Beacon stuff. I would love that. I don't see it happening, though. Well, I think it's possible. There's just not enough information really linking it together for me, but we just don't know what the context or nature of the strange vision that Ashton experienced. We have no idea where in a timeline it is or why in a timeline it was that long ago, if it was, as it seems to be a memory from years and years and years ago, but we just don't know yet. Let me know in the comments down below, do you think Ashton is a consecuted soul? Personally, it would be pretty sick if his original soul and memories were pre-calamity, kind of like FCG. We just have a bunch of super old party members walking around that could have some calamity memories. Why that would be awesome, at the moment, I don't think it's quite likely yet. Oh, hello there. Didn't see you there. I was just editing this video that you're watching right now. Don't worry, we'll get back to the crazy theories in no time. I just wanted to pop in and let you guys know that it is you guys, the viewer right now, that make these videos possible. You all, the audience, by watching, liking, subscribing, and sharing my videos, as well as supporting me on all of our other links, such as Patreon or donating to me directly, make these videos possible. And I just wanted to let you know that I do appreciate it, guys. So if you'd like to help support me, even just watching the video, liking it, or sharing it to some of your friends, helps me out a lot. Okay, guys, let's get back to the crazy theory, shall we? Next, we have our sweet robot boy FCG's memories. FCG's memories were quite interesting, ones that I forgot to touch on our critical role breakdown. Sorry about that. We are taken back to pre-calamitous events in Aor for FCG's memory. We're introduced to a couple of new characters who we don't really know a ton about from the information that Matt gives us, but obviously anytime Matt introduces characters in a kind of memory facet element, you have to think that they are important in some aspect or another. You need to take note of them. One being a kind of grumpy, angry old man, another being a nice older woman. STG has memories of the streets of Aor, of other automatons ruling the streets, of cries of laughter, of enjoyment, of celebration from fellow robots and automatons. A lot of people speculate that this was kind of the moment when automatons had been developed by Aor to be people, essentially, to have conscious thought. The angry older man is most likely the person who created FCG or FCG's owner. They seem to be disgruntled and angry by the fact that automatons are now sentient, basically becoming people. This really reminds me a lot of Detroit Become Human right now, doesn't it? It seems like this person was not very nice and possibly abusive to FCG as his robot. We're not sure about this, but this kind of was the vibes that were given off. Next, we have the older woman who FCG seems to care for in some retrospect or some way. They seem to have a more kind of warmer relationship. A lot of people speculate that this woman was the woman that FCG
was targeted to murder and kill with his assassin bot programming.
This was my thought as soon as I heard Matt describing this. I was like, yeah, there's no way. This is totally his target, whoever this older woman was. This is one of the first real times we've gotten FCG Aor lore, as we gotta remember, FCG is freaking super old and he has all these memories locked away that we don't have access to yet. So I can't wait for more of this arc to play out. FCG, now with probably the death of Laudna, is like the fan base's favorite character, and a lot of that has to do with his elaborate, deep lore. And so I can't wait to see more about Aor in the future. I'm very curious to know what you guys think of the strange man and the strange woman. Do you guys think that the strange older woman that FCG seemed to be attached to in some way was his target? This seems only likely, as we talked again about how FCG is this assassin bot that was programmed to kind of be, you know, unsuspected because of how nice and emotionally supportive he was. And then he just flips and he kills his target, which we know was political and important in some way. As far as who these people are, I got nothing. We just don't know enough about the Calamity. I'm sure there's a bunch of names out there, possibly names that could fit into this, but right now we just don't know enough. Our next theory comes from Reddit and is quite the interesting one. This user remarks at the similarities between Imogen's arm scarring, her relation to Ruidus, and the power that she gets, and how her arm scars, these lightning marks, seem to increase whenever she is either using more power or gaining more power. It has something to do with her level of power. So they speculated that could the marks on the Volstrucker, the program that Caleb was forced to go through, be imitations of the marks that occur on Imogen's body, as well as several other Ruidus-born people, possibly even Otahan. Now, this is a bit of a stretch of a theory, but I do kind of like where it's going. Right now, we do have very intimate Cerberus assembly links with Otahan, with strange Ruidus-born dealings, and with the Feywild. There's obviously some links going on here. We know that gross Cerberus assembly people are going to be involved. People like Trent, people who instituted this Volstrucker program, which, like we said, infused magical crystals into young wizards' arms so they could train and potentially be stronger as these magic crystals and rocks and stuff would increase their power, allowing them to be an even greater devastating spell caster. I'm not sure if this is what they are based on. It's very possible. We've already seen some links between Cerberus assembly and weird Ruidus stuff going on right now. They seem to have a vested interest. Is this the inspiration, though? I'm not so sure. We don't even know what the heck Imogen's scars even mean or what they coincide with. They seem to grow as her power and link to Ruidus grows, but we have no idea what that means at all. I haven't really heard a ton more about kind of the Volstrucker program or what Trent was planning to do exactly with these people, or how long this program was even going, how many of these people were created or were the inspirations from. I like the idea. I don't think it's possible, but it is interesting and potentially probable. And yeah, that about wraps it up for today's theory video. Let me know what you thought of all of our theories. What do you find the most likely? What are your critical role theories about everything that's going on with all of our cast members and all of the backstory information that we learn? Personally, I find the Ashton information extremely interesting. Can't wait to see more of what happens with that. We got another theory video on the way for you guys. This one specifically over Laudna, the elephant in the room, and exactly what the heck is going to happen with Laudna. What are my thoughts? What are the thoughts of the community? What is going to happen with Laudna and Marisha? Keep your eye out for that video in the future. As always, guys, if you enjoyed the video or learned something new, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out some of our other past Critical Role content, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay safe out there. Peace, love. Adu.